Welcome to Arts Express. This is Prairie Miller, and on the show, Pacifica host Garland Nixon, hanging out with the homeless left. A deep dive into the new packaged cyber actors with Hollywood underground filmmaker Matt Weinglass.
Hello, Garland Nixon here, making adjustments at the last minute. We're hanging out with Matt Weinglass. Let's talk. Hello, Garland Nixon here. It's Thursday, and we're hanging out with, Wednesday, hanging out with Matt Weinglass.
All right.
all right. We got a lot to talk about today, but first, a word from Keir Starmer. All right. Now we can get something accomplished now that we have got this show right, started off right. Matt is a writer and director and actor and producer and all of the good stuff in good old Hollywood. Well, what used to be good old Hollywood. Now it's Holly Woke, I guess, isn't it, Matt Weinglass?
Yes, we are calling it Holly Woke these days. We also have other nicknames for it too, Garland, like Zio Wood. And, but and now it's like AI Wood now as well. So there's a lot of problems, and it certainly hasn't been a sustainable model for us, especially those of us who came here with ambitions, take on the world. And it's just the entertainment model is completely changed. But we cover that on our show, The Homeless Left, which is a more honest way, I believe, these days to communicate and to reach out to viewers and audience members and give them something to think about, which is why I got involved in the arts in the first place, which is to give people conversations and open up their mind to new ideas. So we do that in this space now as Hollywood is crumbling.
Absolutely. And, people see, let me see something. A lot of people see the books, all of the stuff that I've read and my connection to Paul Robeson. And one of the things that I think, what was his book? Or The Artist as Revolutionary. And he's got all of these, let me find one. He did a lot of quotes about the importance of being an artist. Here, example. Here's some Paul Robeson great quotes. Artists are the gatekeepers of truth. Artists are the radical voice of civilization. Every artist, every scientist, every writer must decide now where he stands. The artist must take sides. He must elect to fight for freedom or for slavery. I've made my choice. I had no alternative. Sounds like you, Matt Weinglass, but that's a fact.
I think we're wired this way. So, in particular, art forms, like I would say, as an actor, you're the most susceptible to this kind of manipulation to actually go along with it and actually not lose sleep at night because you are trained to sell yourself, right? So how does that work? You walk into a room and you're told, get down on all fours and bark like a dog if you want to be in this Will Smith movie, and you go, okay, where do I go? Tell me where to go. So there's this. So when COVID happens, right? It's the same. You're already conditioned. Like, where do I go? Where do I stand? How many masks do I put on? Tell me what to do to get the job. That's it. And so it's this, you lose the quote you read, you lose that part of the artist. There's an old quote from Jack Nicholson, and I had this I did a conservatory program in Santa Barbara, the BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts program at UCSB. And there was this conundrum when you come in there, this idea that you're going to train to do something that you are conforming to do. Everyone's going to basically follow the same script, right? It's in a world where you should be finding your voice. So how does that make any sense? It's a total contradiction. And Jack Nicholson says you can't be in a conservatory as an artist unless you don't want to be an artist anymore. Therefore, it negates the conservatory for the artist. You're sacrificing that art part of it to conform to the thing, to get to the goal, which is to, make it big, lights, cameras, action, that whole thing. So you lose that artist part of you.
And the last one I'll read, Paul Robeson, he had so many great quotes about being an artist. He said, through my singing and acting and speaking, I want to make freedom ring. Maybe I can touch people's hearts better than I can their minds with the common struggle of the common man, Paul Robeson. And that's It was great. And you see what happened? He paid a price for it. They took his passport for 10 years, mistreated him, calling him every kind of a Russian spy and everything else just to destroy him. But, it's good to know. Remember Ed Asner, another great guy. There were so many people there were a lot of people from Hollywood that stood up and fought, and they should be recognized. By the way, speaking of people from Hollywood that can't stand up and fight because they don't exist, what the heck is this with this new AI actress that's being cast for packaging cast?
Yeah, this is really bad, Garland. And those of you who haven't heard of this yet, this character, it's a character they created. Her name is Tilly Norwood, and she's completely fake. Nobody was trying to say she was real. I think the idea was this is where our art form has taken itself to. And the idea is that, yes, casting directors and studios are getting excited about this new model of performance, because this character of Tilly Norwood can basically fit whatever role they need to fit. And they check this thing checks other boxes as well, not just you'll see her, and I say that reluctantly, her, like as it's an actual person. It's a thing. It's an it. You'll see it in a music video. You'll see it in a promo for a company, and basically doing a commercial. You don't have to pay commercial actors anymore, because you can just have these robots, these its, show up and do the performance. So they're not trying to pretend it's real, but they're showing us this is the model that the casting directors and studios are getting excited about, because guess what? They get to save a lot of money. This thing doesn't have to eat. This thing isn't going to complain about anything. You don't have to pay an agent. I mean, the list is a mile long of how much money they're going to save. And so that's the conflict we have here. You have SAG, the actors union, standing up and saying this is wrong, and we expected them to do that, and they are fighting this type of thing. But I don't think this is going anywhere anytime soon, Garland. But yes, actors right now are furious, as they should be, and they should be being loud about this for sure. I'll add this in too. If people haven't considered this idea, this is something we should have expected, but also understand we were already at Tilly Norwood before she arrived. We were already there because A-listers are packaged just like this. They're handpicked, they're put together, they're slapped on a screen, and we're given a backstory. Tilly Norwood has a backstory. Believe me, you guys can look it up. She's got a personality. Everything is contrived. So we already have that. What is so I ask people listening right now, what is the difference between a Tilly Norwood and a Scarlett Johansson? You haven't met either one of these women, because they're not really people you meet. They're people that are packaged for you to make you think you have a connection with them. And then you go buy your popcorn, you go watch them perform. So I ask you, what is the actual difference?
Yeah, the only difference between Tilly Norwood and so many other actresses is she was never in the IDF. Most of the time these extras. The other part of it is this. Here's what people don't get. I understand art, right? Oftentimes, some of and this being in Hollywood, the best stuff was accidental. It was during filming, somebody did something that they weren't planning, and it ended up being hilarious. It ended up being brilliant. And afterwards, people were like, wow, what about the scene in so-and-so? Wasn't that awesome? And they're like, oh, that was never planned. So-and-so slipped and fell down, and he did this, and he cursed, and he said that, and that was the funniest scene in the movie, right? So art has to have spontaneity. I don't have spontaneity. What was his name? The guy that did Mork and Mindy.
Robin Williams. Yeah.
Robin Williams would just do stuff, and they were like people would just start laughing, and he just started making stuff up, and it just whatever came out. And how many people have you heard? Denzel Washington. I remember him talking about that, thing about Pelican Bay or whatever. I'll have you, whatever in Pelican Bay. That just came out. Mm-hmm. He's just doing something, and then somebody shouts, and these people have this natural. We're talking about people with talent. You can't invent that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But you never get that with AI. Yeah, AI it's clean, it's sterile, it's packaged, and they will say whatever is supposed to be said in a digital way, but you won't get that clean stuff that you just get sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. As AI develops, we might get to a place where it can pretend to have these aha moments or things that were not supposed to go the way they went. And those will also be part of the ones and zeros in the program. So who knows how far you can go. But right now, you're right. You're not going to get those moments, Robin Williams moments. Bryan Cranston has story. You guys know the Breaking Bad. You know, he has lines that were supposed to be delivered one way, and he went against the director and did it another way. And they were like, holy crap, we never saw it coming. That's the take we're using. And those moments, yes, you cannot expect, an AI is not going to be able to do that right now, but who knows? I mean, we might get to a place where they actually could do that. And I don't know what we're going to do at that point, but the studios aren't going to miss that right now. They just want to slap together a blueprint, the cookie cutter script. We know that the writers are suffering. We know all these other detailed jobs are suffering because you have a cookie cutter formula. You have like 25 plots that get recycled every time, and you're just not going to get another Walter White that's going to, go leaps and bounds outside of what the page told you to do. And the studios are not really going to care. The question is, are the audience going to care? Are they going to care? And that's, I think, has yet to be determined. Yeah,
it's like listening to music. Yes, you can have this really good, whether it was CDs or this really sweet, clean music that is, absolutely perfection in every way, right? A buddy of mine is into tube amps, and he has these tube amps. And the music is warm, man. This guy puts on jazz. You go in there and you listen to it. He's got like these speakers from like the 60s and 70s that he spent like all of this money for these old speakers and had them redone in every way. And when you listen to the tube amps with these 1970s, you can just sit there like, oh my God, is this music or is this heaven, right? And what he said was, it has to do with the new stuff has no distortion, but the distortion is at certain frequencies, and that's what makes it warm. You know what I mean? It's like and even the people that invented this stuff never planned for it to be like that. It's just the way it comes out because it's a tube amp or whatever, and it does this and that. Yeah. That is it's humanity, is natural stuff. Yeah. This crap is sterile, and I suspect that it'll never, it'll never do. You'll never replicate it. I'm not interested in it myself. If I saw a movie starring Tilly Norwood, no thanks. I don't watch half of that crap anyway now. Yeah, I know I ain't watching that.
Well, however bad it gets, I can safely predict that the last medium that will still be considered human for us in the arts, as far as the storytelling mediums go, will be theater. That'll be what's left. Audience, no matter how many you can get to come to see all AI, CGI, everything, no actors in a movie theater, you're not going to win over the theater audience. They go to the theater, whether it's musicals or any type, of opera or anything, just straight theater. They're there to see human beings on a stage, and they're there to see an orchestra pit with human beings playing instruments and a human conductor conducting the instrument. So that's something I think will be the last hope for humanity as far as storytelling goes in those mediums. But I don't know if I'm as optimistic as you are, Garland, about the film medium, because I think that, yeah, that could slowly get taken away from us little by little.
Coming up next on Arts Express.
We're looking for Louis de Palma.
Well, we got one, but ours is in the men's room. Can I help you?
Yeah. We're with the immigration department.
Oh?
We're trying to find a Latka Gravis.
A Latka Gravis? Do you mind if I see your identification? Thank you. I never heard of him.
Gentlemen, we're going to grab a cup of coffee. We'll be back in a few minutes to see Mr. de Palma.
Fine. What do those men from the immigration department want to see you for?
They send letter.
Let me see. Yes, from the immigration department. Latka, how long ago did you get this?
2 weeks.
How come you didn't have any of us translate it for you?
Did it myself.
How far did you get?
Dear Alan.
That's alien. Latka's student visa ran out a month ago. Listen to this. If you do not contact this office by, that's 4 days ago. A warrant will be issued for your arrest. Uh-oh. Look, those men were here today to arrest you.
What means arrest?
Prison, behind bars, jail, police.
Oh, no. I don't think c'est pas
Sit down. Just sit down. Do you have your papers?
Papers?
Papers.
Zigzags?
You're in real trouble, man.
Hey, what's the big deal? The worst thing that can happen is they send you back where you came from.
You ever see any of the letters Latka gets from his homeland? They have postage stamps that aren't a barbed wire.
Okay, you bozos. I cleaned all your filthy graffiti off the walls of the camp. And I want you to know what you wrote about me in there was disgusting. Some of it ain't even true.
You should see what's written about you on the walls of the ladies' room.
I know what it says in there. I wrote it.
Hey, Louie. A couple of guys came in here looking for Latka. They said they're gonna come back and talk to you.
What do they want Latka for?
They want to arrest him as an illegal alien.
So why don't you just give him to him? Do I have to do everything around here?
We gotta help Latka. This is very serious.
Serious? What's serious?
Hey, Louie, you're not gonna turn him in, are you?
Well, I ain't lying to no feds. I can't do it. I won't do it. You can get into too much trouble doing that. Those guys scare me.
Louie, this is Latka's life we're talking about here. If we don't help the guy, we may lose him.
So?
Oh, come on, Louie. I don't want to embarrass you, but if it's anybody you sort of love, it's Latka.
Hey, John, it's not going to work. You're laying it on a little thick.
Palmer, come back.
Yes, sir, right there.
Are you Louis De Palmer?
Yes, I am.
We're investigators from the Department of Immigration and Naturalization.
He's under that cab.
Louie!
Mr. Gravis? Come out, please.
And those were scenes from the TV satirical worker sitcom classic Taxi, and one episode taking aim at U.S. immigration policies that aired decades ago but could have taken place in the moment right now. And Tony Danza, who starred in Taxi back then, is our guest on the show, talking about yet another timely topic in his latest film, Re-Election, as the downwardly mobile dad of an equally alienated son determined to return to high school in a do-over about the election he lost back then, but discovering instead political corruption, excess, and lunacy not unlike today. Danza also revisits Taxi and his special friendship with the late legend Tupac Shakur when Tupac was behind bars. First, some scenes from Re-Election, then conversations with Tony Danza.
Remember the election in 1995? The day that changed our lives forever? I'm gonna fix it, Pop. I'm gonna go back to high school. I'm gonna rerun for class president, and this time I'm gonna win. Who will cover your shifts? Really? I'm trying to connect with my electorate, which has turned out to be harder than I thought.
This is called a smartphone.
Son, what a man thinks of himself, that is which determines his fate.
I'm starting to believe that, Pop. Believing in my potential, fighting for it. Isn't that what being an educator's all about? Not just looking out for the obvious winners, but fighting for the potential in everybody.
It's not how we start our journey that matters. It's how we finish it.
Hello?
Hello, Barry. I'm here.
Great, okay. Hello, Tony Danza, and welcome to our show.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
What inspired you to embrace your character, Stan, the melancholy father of the Re-Election filmmaker Adam Saunders' main character as well, Jimmy? And what did you figure out to get inside his head?
Okay, the part, I have to tell you, interested me right from the beginning. You know, it's a very different from me, you know, because he's soft-spoken and he hurts a little bit more even than I do, and he moves slower, and he just has a demeanor that I kind of wanted to play, and then, you know, the father-son, that father-son relationship to me is most important. It's and it's something that I take pride in because I am a father, I'm a grandfather, and everything else. But I take, and I made my bones doing it on TV, playing a father. So I think I'm really interested because I had such a great father myself. I'm interested in portraying a father that kids can really grab onto.
Now, Re-Election is a time machine satire as well, with both Stan and your son's clueless frustration as each of your generation's confrontation with navigating the world of high school youth today. What can you say about the generational challenge for you, both on and off screen, out in that world today?
Well, I have a much closer relationship with it. I run a teen acting program here in the city. It's free. It's the slogan is teen acting because when you teach a kid how to act, you teach a kid how to act. Yeah. And so I have been around high school kids now for almost 15 years now, and you see I think they've been sandbagged by the internet. But I just think kids are at a disadvantage. I think that in a lot of ways we've abdicated any responsibility for nurturing them, and they're just customers like anybody else. They should just go out and do what they want to do and when they want. I remember when I was first on TV, there was Family Hour. I mean, we were actually consciously, trying to make sure that they were nurtured, we're taken care of. But now I think, unfortunately, we've decided that it's okay to let them do what they want. And I think we're reaping the benefits of it, too. But the program, it's called the Stars of Tomorrow Project. We just had our first kid go through the program, go through college. We got him into college, and he made his debut on Broadway in Romeo and Juliet. So we're thrilled.
And what about?
But I don't know if I answered your question. I'm sorry.
Well,
I'm uneasy about that, though. That's all.
I guess I was asking how you view the world yourself as it keeps changing, and through the decades, the youth have seen the changes. But how about you as a different generation? Because that's also one of the themes of the film.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, really. The problem is, and I think this is where it stems from, is that I had an ideal childhood. I grew up in the toughest neighborhood in Brooklyn, in East New York, and yet I had the best childhood you could imagine. I had my grandparents living downstairs. My parents took care of us. So we weren't rich, but we weren't desperate, like so many people are today. And so I just, I feel like the kids are getting gypped, and I should try to make something up, and that's why I do it. But I think that's what I see. I just see less concern about how they end up, and certainly the economy is, they go to college. You tell them go to college and do your best, and then when you come out, there'll be a job. But they come out, and then there's not much, and that's not fair.
And Re-Election also delves into political excess and lunacy. What are your thoughts about that narrative as manifested in the outside world today?
Well, I don't think I have to tell you that it is excessive right now, but I don't know. I don't know. I just think what happens to you when you don't live up to your own expectations. I know of that myself. You don't live up to your own expectations, and how do you deal with it? And the way he deals with it for a long time is he doesn't deal, and that I think is probably a lot of people deal with it that way. But then he does make a choice. I mean, he finds out that things have changed since he was a big shot, but at least he makes a choice and he goes for it. And I think that's something that also speaks to the younger generation.
And Re-Election as a story about personal reinvention for both your characters, Stan and Saunders as your son. How would you say that reinvention has manifested for you as an actor through the decades and the choices you've made to do so along the way?
Well, I think I've been trying. I really I've been doing a lot of singing lately, which has been really fabulous. You know, we've been doing a live act. We just played the Carlisle. You know, I try to roll. I try to roll with it. Still looking for that great job's going to come along and let me do something special. But I'm engaged, and I think that's really the most important thing, is to work hard and stay engaged.
And what would you like audiences to understand about your re-election character, Stan's journey of self-awareness and transformation in the very difficult world of today all around him?
I think is how what I really love about him is how much he loves his son and how much he supports his son, even when he thinks he's a little off his rocker.
And what do you feel is the enduring fascination of Taxi through all these decades and with new generations as well?
Well, it's how about that? It's funny. It's funny. It's thought-provoking. It's so emblematic of another time of TV when we actually tried to do plays on TV, little tiny plays, little 22-minute and 40-second plays, instead of all the reality baloney that we watch now. I mean, there was a time that, people sat down and really, and that's what I think people miss that, number one. Just so you know how much of a Taxi nut I am, aside from, by the way, the Taxi cast and Jim Brooks get together every month for a Zoom. Through the whole pandemic, we've done it. We do it every month. We spend like 2.5 hours on the phone, drinking and eating and laughing and talking what's happening, and it's so great. So we're still together, which is an amazing thing. There was a telethon, a Taxi telethon here in New York. I don't know, it's on some channel, I can't even remember where it was, but I watched 19 episodes. I couldn't stop. I love it. I love it. It's just and for me, it is the moment that my life changed.
Now, you wrote to the late Tupac Shakur when he was in prison, and the two of you became friends. What can you say about what led you to that friendship? And anything you'd like to share about Tupac, who still seems so much alive in the popular imagination, and your friendship with him?
Well, I'm really worried. My big concern is the kids of our country. I think that it's so much harder to be a kid nowadays than it was when I was a kid, and that's what was the basis of writing to Tupac. He was in jail. He had 5 bullet holes in him. He had thug life written across his stomach. And I was saying, well, I wrote him that considering his situation, maybe there's another way to go about his life that would not only keep him from being in this situation, but also have a positive influence on so many of the kids who look up to him. And he thought that was a good idea and wrote back to me, and we started conversing about that and corresponding about that, and that really people make a bigger thing out of it, because when he made his movie Resurrection, he went on and on about getting notes from me, and so that's all it was. It was just an attempt to reach out to somebody who I thought would have a lot of influence on the kids, and maybe the way he was doing it was not positive.
And I often say, as a film critic, why are millionaire actors or middle-class actors always playing working-class people? Yet you're one of those actors who is the real thing, that you're from working-class roots and the son of a blue-collar worker, a sanitation worker. What do you think those genuine roots bring to characters and to your characters?
Yeah, my father's a garbage man, yeah.
Yeah.
The city, yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, the one thing that immediately comes to mind is a work ethic. My mother and father, they just worked. And so I try to work. I mean, I don't think you can, you can't keep it going
for any amount of time unless you work. And so that's number one. Number two is I get it. You know what else happened to me that really is different, Prairie?
Yeah.
So I got lucky, and just to be crass, I made a lot of money. Who's the boss? And I was doing really, really well. And it's you start to, you live a different way than everybody else because you're making that kind of bread. And then I had some not bad luck, but things didn't go my way, and so I struggled. The first 15 years of my career, I didn't have a care in the world. The next 15, I struggled. And I struggled to keep it going, and I struggle. And I say to myself, if I'm struggling, what must it be like, for the regular guy?
Yeah.
And so that gives me a certain amount of empathy, a certain amount of understanding of what people are going through. And so that gives me, that allows me in a character to find that empathy, but also just as intellectually, it's just better than being, unawares.
And what are you working on anything else right now in terms of film?
Raising Canaan, the show I was doing on Stars. I think that should be dropping pretty soon. So we have a season of that. But that's right now, that's where it's at.
Oh.
And a lot of singing.
Yeah. And any details you'd like to share about that? Any surprises coming up?
No, I was surprised. I don't have any surprises.
What is your different inspiration for acting as opposed to your music?
It's the same because it's all performance, and it's all trying to be in the moment, and I find it a little easier doing the live act to be in the moment because when I'm up there, that's all I can think about. But I think it's the same. I mean, for me, it is at least because it's performance.
Yeah. And we have time. When Tony Danza looks in the mirror, what does he see? Because this is for radio and nobody can see you.
Yeah, an old man, that's what he sees. No, I mean, I see a guy who's still trying. A guy who loves what he does. He loves being in it. He's lucky to have this wonderful family, and I don't know. All in all, not bad. I mean, like I said, I can identify with that not living up to expectations, but I think I'm pretty lucky.
Okay, thank you so much, Tony Danza, for joining us
Okay, it was
on
nice
the
talking
show.
to you, Prairie.
Yeah, okay.
Nice talking to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And now on Arts Express.
We're going on a dinosaur hunt.
Going on a dinosaur hunt.
I've got my binoculars.
I've got my binoculars.
I'm not scared.
I'm not scared.
Uh-oh.
Hi, this is Jack Shalom. Among geologists and paleontologists, the dinosaur wars have been known as a fearsome conflagration of powerful beings. No, I'm not talking about battles among these long extinct creatures, but among human beings, mostly male, lined up against a female scientist whose ideas threatened their theories and privilege. And I'm happy to have as our guest today the woman who has been at the center of this controversy for decades, Dr. Gerta Keller, Professor Emerita at Princeton University, and the author of the new book, The Last Extinction, The Real Science Behind the Death of the Dinosaurs. Hi, Professor Keller. May I call you Gerta?
Yes, I'm Gerta, and thank you for the introduction, Jack.
You're a central part of what has been called the nastiest feud in science. Can you tell us what is meant by the fifth extinction and give us a brief overview of what the controversy is about?
Yes, absolutely. The fifth extinction is the fifth time that the world has experienced a major mass extinction. And basically, the fifth one is the last one that we experienced, and that is 66 million years ago. The dinosaurs went extinct, and so many other things went extinct. But new things evolved, and then came climate change. What we call climate change today actually started a long time ago, when the dinosaurs were actually wiped out pretty much during Deccan volcanism. And Deccan volcanism means it's volcanic eruptions in India. And they were so frequent at the end of that time that, in fact, we find it that it is almost impossible to even list the number of fast extinctions that came up.
While your Deccan volcanism is now accepted, it wasn't always that way. Luis Alvarez and Walter Alvarez, they had a very different idea about what had happened, which at that time was more accepted. So can you
very much so. And that was much earlier, in 1980.
What was the Alvarez theory?
The theory was that an asteroid impact occurred. They didn't know when, where, or why. But everyone then would say that it was because of global freezing, because there was global wildfires, everything was burning, which is totally impossible.
And this was called the impact theory. And so what was it that first got you thinking that maybe the impact theory wasn't true?
Well, it was the first day, and I was there at the Geological Survey at the time, and everybody was talking and saying, it can't be true, it's ridiculous. How can that happen? There is no evidence for it.
And yet it gained traction, evidently.
Yes. Within less than 1 year plus, Luis Alvarez gave his talk that it did happen. Then they continued with it. Even after the first year, I actually had decided that I was going to stop my dinosaur research because we would never get to the truth. Because already in the first year, a person who was looking for why the dinosaurs went extinct in India, and basically Luis Alvarez destroyed the man, an absolutely brilliant American scientist, because nobody could accept that there would be volcanic eruptions to do with it. That's why when I stopped that very day, I said, I'm going to stop. I'm going to work on something completely different. I will take off for 5 years and then everything will die away. Well, it has never died away. It's still going with the impactors.
So now at one point after this impact theory had been put forth, they claimed that there was evidence of craters from asteroid in the area, I guess what is now called Mexico and around there. So what happened after that, after these craters were discovered?
Well, what they actually discovered, or said they discovered, was that there was iridium. Iridium is a rare earth element, which comes from asteroids, but it comes just as equally from our own world, deep inside the earth. And it can erupt from there, the very deepest parts. But the Alvarez at the time didn't really know much about iridium either. What they did is say, we found some of this, and therefore it happened. It took actually until 2019 that I finally discovered a very smart, very excellent scientist And within a year, he and his also a very smart woman scientist, they were absolutely flabbergasted. They found that the asteroid never hit. It was not iridium. It was actually something else, but it's not the iridium.
Now, as I understand it, also one of the important aspects of this is the timing of the supposed impact as compared to when the volcanoes exploded. And you've spent much of your career studying the tiny single-celled organisms called forams, Forams. And it's kind of ironic that such a small cellular creature was so crucial to you in proving that the meteorite crash in Mexico was not the cause of the fifth extinction.
Yes. Forams, first of all, really tiny creatures. The smallest of them are about the size of a fly speck. And they were already there long before, hundreds of millions of years earlier. And they're still here today.
So how did they help you in your research?
It helped because 1976 was actually the first time that these tiny creatures could be found in these microorganisms, and you could not just age date them, but also know what the temperatures were, when they evolved, how they evolved. In 2003. That's the first time when we actually had cores from the National Science Foundation. And there were two earlier time from Mexico where they also drilled. The funny part was that these earlier two times, each time the cores were lost or stolen. They could never find them. In fact, each time I got to Mexico to look for the people who had the cores, each time somebody had stolen them. Basically, they got rid of all the cores that we were still studying and trying to study. And then it was the NSF, and it was not so easy to steal them. But the same guy did it anyway. That was the third time. We are actually in Mexico City looking at these cores, and there was, I don't know how many, at least 150 people or so. And they would not be able to touch them, so they said, and we could simply tell them what samples they wanted. And then it wasn't long, the core disappeared. The impactors, there was one called Smith, Jan Smith, and he was kind of the leading guy, and Jan Smith had made them disappear.
Oh my goodness. And of course, these core samples would be evidence of the different sedimentation layers, and you could do timing.
Right.
So they were absolutely crucial, and then they disappeared.
Yes, but they found that they had, this is a core that's about, the shorter one would be about 6 foot long.
Oh,
and
not something you could slip into a pocket if you were.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. He had made them disappear, and then he was looking with some of his collaborators, searching where they had disappeared.
Even though he was the one that had taken it.
Exactly.
I see.
But the funny part was, it was found out very quickly that it had disappeared in his duffel bag.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. And then he came and he said, I always had the right to take them because the Mexicans aren't any good.
Oh, how insulting.
How insulting, yes. And then we were supposed to get the samples within about 5-6 months. He never gave me the samples. I would call them virtually every day. And by the time it was just about a couple of weeks later, before the meeting came, and we still didn't get any samples, I made a call, and he said, don't worry, you'll get them eventually, even if not the ones you want. And I said very gently, Jan, don't you realize that you're playing with fire? Because NSF is going to be madder than hell if we don't get those samples by tomorrow. And he was quiet. And I said, okay, if I don't get those samples now, then all hell will break loose with NSF. And then he said, okay, you'll have them in 2 days. And he did send them to me. And we had to work day and night in order to get our analysis done.
And they all supported your thesis of volcanoism. The extinction of the dinosaurs was not caused by an asteroid landing in Mexico, but rather much earlier. In your book, you say 200,000 years earlier than the asteroid, by these volcanoes in India. In the book, you talk a lot about discrimination and disrespect as a woman that you've gotten. And that goes back to your early graduate student days at Stanford, when you were part of the scientific crew of the Glomar Challenger ocean drilling ship.
Yes, I was still a graduate student. I was the only female, not unusual. And it was a crew from the US, and the other crew was from the Japanese. I was doing age dating. The purpose of this crew was to look at the very deepest ocean, which is more than 4,000 meters deep. And so I found out that it was what's called a subduction zone. So I told my crew that I thought this was a subduction zone and we had made a significant discovery. And yes, the Japanese didn't like it.
What did they say to you?
They said that as a woman, I was smart, but I had no science and I knew nothing. I should stop all this because they didn't believe what I was saying. And the second one did the same thing. And the third one turned around looking out the porthole and then said, if you don't change your mind, bad things are going to happen. And I said, oh, what would that be? He said, you may die. Bad things happen.
Wow. Person overboard, woman overboard, huh?
Exactly.
Wow. Well, your upbringing and education as a geologist and paleontologist was truly unique. Can you talk a little bit about how you landed as a college science student without even having a high school diploma? You grew up in Switzerland. Tell us about that.
I said I burned my high school diploma, but I never had one. I always wanted to do science, but as a girl in poverty, there was no hope. You could not go to school. This was still at the time when women were cleaning and fixing men's clothes. And I was told the only thing that I could ever do was become a salesgirl, a farm worker, or a dressmaker.
Your mother had one more idea for you that she thought was a good idea.
Yes, she said that I had to go to a nunnery, basically incarcerated in a nunnery forever.
And how did you react to that?
The priest was there too. I looked at her, she wouldn't look at me. The priest said we would take a walk. We took a walk, and I never talked about religion on the walk. And in the end, he said to my mother, your girl doesn't have the calling. So yes, my mother's idea was not so good, and she didn't like me for it.
And then you made your way to the United States, to the
all on my
San
own.
Francisco area. And what happened in San Francisco?
San Francisco was actually, after 4 years already on my world travels.
Mm-hmm.
I did the most dangerous things you can imagine, and I survived. Then I came to San Francisco. It was supposed to be my last trip.
Why was it going to be your last trip?
I had intended to die when I was 23.
By killing yourself?
Yes, because my favorite brother died at that age from an accident. So I thought that it made sense. At age 23, it would be over. So I got to San Francisco. It was the Flower Children days. The students, they would tell me, so what did you study? And I said, oh, I never studied anything. And he said, you can go to City College and take an entrance exam and see how well you're doing. I passed my exam so well that even though I never studied, so that they actually gave me a lot of money. And that led on to San Francisco State, and then to Stanford, and then to Princeton.
Very importantly, the controversy between the impact theory and your volcano theory. But why do you think people today need to know what really happened?
Because we are on the verge of the last extinction. In fact, it's already happening. If we don't do something, and so far nothing is being done, climate change has moved so rapidly now, and there is still no end in sight. Look at the politics, and you know that it's never going to happen. Our mass extinction, our own, is going to be the next thing.
So you must be very frustrated about that.
It's frustrating, but I decide to live another 100 years. And I will find out exactly what will happen. I want to know the end of the story, and I'm not finished yet.
Great. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Gerta Keller. Thanks so much. I've been speaking with Gerta Keller, Professor Emerita of Geology and Paleontology at Princeton University, author of The Last Extinction, a fascinating roadmap through her life and discoveries, and a guide to how the real science works. This is Jack Shalom for Arts Express with host Prairie Miller.
And that's all we have time for today on Arts Express, expression in the arts. And if you'd like to express yourself too, you can write to us at theradiogoddess@gmail.com. Until next time, this is Prairie Miller leaving the station.